Chosen one, listen to me carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent, sacred, and precise. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if your heart is closed to truth, you should not be here. This message will not rest on you. But if you are truly chosen, if you have felt the weight of God's calling on your life, then you are exactly where you are meant to be. This message has reached you at the perfect time, not early, not late, right on time. There is someone who has waited 7 long years to find you, not wandering, not distracted, waiting. And God allowed the wait because what was being prepared could not be rushed. This meeting is not accidental, and this season you are in is not random. Stay with me till the end, because what you are about to hear will bring clarity to confusion, peace to your mind, and confirmation to your spirit. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this message with other chosen ones who need this confirmation, and comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are aligned with God's timing and purpose.
Why the wait was necessary. God's invisible preparation. Chosen one, I need you to breathe for a moment and let this settle in your spirit. The waiting you endured was not wasted time. It was not God ignoring you. It was not heaven being silent. It was preparation happening where your natural eyes could not see. And this is where many lose peace, because they measure divine work by visible movement. God does his deepest work in stillness. 7 years is not a random number. In scripture and in spiritual law, 7 represents completion, refinement, and divine order. When God allows a 7-year cycle, he is not delaying. He is finishing something. Something had to be completed in you, and something had to be completed in the other person before your paths could align without destruction. God does not connect unfinished vessels when the calling is heavy. You waited because your heart needed strengthening, not hardening, strengthening. There is a difference. You were being taught discernment, not suspicion, patience, not passivity, self-respect, not pride. God was slowly removing the need to be chosen by people so that you could stand fully chosen by him. Had this person entered your life earlier, you might have leaned on them instead of God, and that would have weakened both of you. And let me say this clearly, without sugarcoating it. Some of you were saved by the delay. You were emotionally vulnerable. You were spiritually open but not yet anchored. You were still healing from wounds you pretended didn't hurt. God saw what you refused to admit. He saw patterns that needed to break, attachments that needed to die, expectations that needed to be purified. If he had allowed the meeting then, you would have turned a divine connection into an emotional dependency. God will not bless what replaces him. During those years, you were being stripped. Old identities fell away, false confidence collapsed. Relationships that felt familiar but were spiritually empty faded out. You thought you were losing everything, but what you were really losing was what could not go where God was taking you. The waiting season is where God teaches chosen ones how to stand alone without becoming lonely. That is not an easy lesson, but it is a necessary one. Now listen carefully. The other person was also waiting, even if they did not know your name. They were being refined in their own way. They had to unlearn control. They had to face their fears. They had to confront their past and take responsibility for their healing. God does not connect two people just because they desire each other. He connects them when they can protect what he places between them. Some of you wonder why it took so long when you were ready years ago. But readiness is not excitement. Readiness is stability. Readiness is the ability to remain grounded when emotions rise. Readiness is knowing who you are, even when someone important walks into your life. God waited until your identity could stand without collapsing under anticipation. There were moments when you questioned yourself. You wondered if you missed it, if you waited too long, if you misunderstood God. That questioning did not disqualify you. It trained you. It forced you to seek God's voice instead of chasing signs. It taught you how to sit with uncertainty without abandoning faith. That kind of spiritual muscle cannot be built quickly. Let me speak to the exhaustion you felt, the quiet nights, the prayers that felt unanswered, the moments when you almost settled just to feel something again. God saw every time you chose obedience over comfort, every time you walked away from what felt good but wasn't aligned. Heaven recorded those moments. You were not overlooked. You were being trusted with endurance. The weight also protected you from illusion. Many connections feel divine because they are intense, but intensity is not confirmation. God slowed things down so you would learn peace, because when this person enters your life, it will not come with chaos, confusion, or emotional highs followed by crashes. It will feel steady, familiar, calm. That calm is not lack of passion. It is maturity. You are also learning boundaries. 7 years ago, you might have overgiven, over-explained, over-sacrificed. God was teaching you that love does not require self-erasure. That covenant does not mean losing yourself. The delay was God teaching you how to receive without guilt and give without depletion. Do not overlook this part. God was also protecting the mission tied to this connection. This meeting is not just about companionship. There is purpose attached. There is assignment attached, and purpose requires clarity. God had to make sure your focus was sharp, not scattered, that your spirit could recognize alignment, not just attraction. Chosen one, the weight did not weaken you. It clarified you. You are not the same person you were 7 years ago. You see differently. You respond differently. You pray differently. And that is exactly why this message is reaching you now. Not because time passed, but because preparation finished. The waiting season ends not when you demand answers, but when you become ready to steward what God releases. And if you are hearing this with peace instead of panic, with recognition instead of desperation, that is your confirmation. The delay did its job, and I want you to understand something deeper now. God was not only preparing you for this person, He was preparing you for yourself. 7 years ago, you may not have trusted your own discernment. You may have doubted your intuition. You may have confused emotional intensity with spiritual confirmation. The waiting trained your inner ear. Now, you recognize God's voice without panic. You no longer need constant reassurance. That growth was essential. There were lessons that could only be learned through time, not teaching. You learned how to sit in silence without feeling abandoned. You learned how to pray without demanding timelines. You learned how to love God without bargaining. Those are not small lessons. Those are the marks of spiritual maturity. God does not join destinies until both souls can hear Him clearly without interference. Some of you had to unlearn savior tendencies. You thought love meant fixing, rescuing, carrying burdens that were never yours. God slowed you down so you would stop confusing sacrifice with suffering. The delay taught you that healthy love does not drain you. It strengthens you. That understanding protects the connection that is coming. You are also being aligned emotionally. God healed reactions. He softened triggers. He taught you how to pause instead of react. Because when this person finally steps into your life, God does not want old wounds speaking louder than present truth. The waiting quieted those wounds. And let me be very clear, if this meeting happened earlier, you might have idolized it. You might have placed it above God. God will never allow a blessing to become a distraction. So He waited until your heart could hold love without losing alignment. The waiting was not about punishment. It was about positioning. And now, chosen one, you are positioned. Who this person is. The soul assigned to your journey. Chosen one, I want you to listen to this part slowly. Do not rush it. Do not project faces, names, or fantasies onto these words. What I'm about to share is not meant to excite your emotions. It is meant to ground your spirit. Because when God prepares a connection of this nature, Clarity matters more than anticipation. This person who waited 7 years for you is not someone sent to complete you. You were never incomplete. God does not design chosen ones to be half of anything. This person is sent to walk with you, not to carry you, not to save you, not to replace God in your life. That distinction is important because many divine connections are delayed simply because one or both people are looking for completion instead of companionship. This person is spiritually aware, even if they are not loud about it. They are not flashy with faith. They do not perform holiness. Their relationship with God is quiet, disciplined, and sincere. They have learned obedience through loss, not just through teaching. They understand what it means to surrender control because life forced them to. That humility is not weakness, it is strength that has been tested. They are not perfect. Let me say that clearly. They carry scars. They have regrets. They have moments they wish they could redo, but they did not allow those failures to harden them. They allowed those moments to refine them. That is one of the reasons God trusted them with waiting. Waiting reveals character more than movement ever will. This person respects your calling. They may not fully understand it at first, but they do not compete with it. They do not feel threatened by your devotion to God. They do not demand that you choose between purpose and connection. In fact, they quietly make room for your obedience. That is one of the clearest signs of alignment. Anyone who competes with your purpose is not assigned to your journey. Do not expect fireworks. Do not expect chaos. Do not expect emotional confusion. When this connection begins to surface, it will feel strangely calm, familiar but not overwhelming. There will be no rush to define it, no pressure to perform, no anxiety-driven attachment. That calm is not lack of depth, it is safety. God does not send storms disguised as blessings to his chosen ones. You will recognize this person not by how fast your heart races, but by how steady your spirit becomes. Around them, you will not feel the need to explain yourself excessively. You will not feel the urge to prove your worth. You will not feel anxious about where you stand. Peace will answer questions before you even ask them. That is divine order. Now hear me carefully. This person did not spend 7 years obsessing over you. That is not how God prepares people. They were not stuck, frozen, or emotionally unavailable to life. They lived, they grew, they learned, they prayed, and at times they doubted just like you did. But deep within them, there was a knowing that something was unfinished, a quiet sense that timing mattered more than desire. They also had to unlearn unhealthy patterns. Some of them had to learn how to listen instead of control, how to stay instead of escape, how to communicate instead of withdraw. God does not bring two people together until both can handle conflict without destruction. Love that cannot survive disagreement is not mature love. The waiting season trained them to stay present, even when things feel uncomfortable. You may notice that this person values consistency. They show up the same way on quiet days as they do on important ones. They are not emotionally volatile. They do not love in extremes. That stability might feel unfamiliar to you at first, especially if your past was filled with emotional highs and lows. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Often it means healed. This person will not rush intimacy, emotional, spiritual, or physical. They understand the weight of connection. They know that access is earned, not assumed. That restraint is not distance, it is respect. They waited 7 years because they understand that what is rushed often breaks under pressure. Let me address something important now. Some of you are afraid that you will miss this person, that you will not recognize them. That fear comes from past regret, not present truth. When God orchestrates a meeting, recognition does not require anxiety. You will not need to chase signs. You will not need to force alignment. What is meant for you will meet you with clarity, not confusion. This person is not coming to disrupt your life. They are coming to complement it. They do not pull you away from God. They walk with you toward Him. Their presence sharpens your discernment instead of dulling it. They challenge you gently, not critically. They hold you accountable without shaming you. That balance is rare, and it is intentional. You will notice that conversations with them feel meaningful even when they are simple. Silence with them will not feel awkward. There will be space to breathe, space to think, space to be human without performance. Chosen ones often forget what ease feels like because their lives carry weight. God sends ease as a form of mercy. This person understands timing because they lived it. They respect process because they survived it. They do not push God's hand. They trust it. And that trust is what allows this connection to exist without strain. Two people who both trust God do not need to control each other. And let me correct a misunderstanding before it forms. This connection is not about filling loneliness. It is about shared assignment. Loneliness can be healed in many ways. Assignment requires alignment. God does not join destinies for emotional relief alone. There is something you are meant to build, influence, or protect together. That is why the preparation was so specific. You may feel drawn to this person before you fully understand why. Not pulled, not obsessed, drawn. There is a difference, a gentle awareness, a sense of recognition that does not demand explanation. Do not rush to label it, do not rush to define it. Let God reveal layers in order. What unfolds slowly tends to last. Chosen one, this person is not your reward for waiting. God is not transactional. This person is a partner in obedience, a witness to your growth, a reminder that God sees, God prepares, and God keeps His word. And when you finally understand that, you will stop asking why it took 7 years, and you will start thanking God that it did. The 7-year test. What both of you endured. Chosen one, this part may feel heavy, but it will also feel honest. Because before God brings two prepared souls together, He allows both to be tested in ways that cannot be explained casually. The last 7 years were not gentle. They were not comfortable. They were not fair by human standards. And yet, they were precise. Every test had intention. Every loss carried instruction. You were tested in isolation first. Not the kind where people disappear completely, but the kind where you realize that no one can truly walk certain parts of your journey with you. You were surrounded, yet alone. Heard, yet misunderstood. Supported in words, but not in depth. That isolation was not to punish you. It was to teach you how to rely on God without resentment toward people. Many chosen ones fail here. They grow bitter. You grew inward. There were betrayals that cut deeper than you expected. Some came from people you trusted. Others came from people you defended. God allowed it because discernment cannot mature in comfort. You had to learn that loyalty without alignment becomes self-betrayal. Those moments hardened your wisdom, not your heart. And that distinction matters. You were tested through delay. Doors almost opened, then closed. Opportunities appeared, then dissolved. You prayed, prepared, waited, and still nothing moved. That delay trained patience that does not complain, faith that does not panic, obedience that does not negotiate. God was watching how you handled silence. Silence reveals faith more than blessings ever will. There were seasons of deep self-doubt. You questioned your worth, your calling, your clarity. You wondered if you misunderstood God completely. Those thoughts did not disqualify you. They humbled you. God allows chosen ones to wrestle internally so they do not dominate externally. Confidence without humility becomes dangerous. You were tested emotionally. Old wounds resurfaced. Patterns tried to return. Temptations appeared when you were tired, not when you were strong. That was intentional. Anyone can resist when they feel powerful. God wanted to see who you were when you felt empty. And even when you stumbled, you returned. That return mattered more than perfection. Now understand this. The other person was being tested differently, but just as deeply. They faced their own isolation, their own disappointments, their own moments of regret. They had to confront parts of themselves they avoided for years. God stripped excuses from them, pride from them, control from them. because a connection built on ego cannot survive purpose. They were tested in responsibility. God showed them the weight of commitment before granting it. They had to learn how to stay present, how to communicate instead of disappearing, how to hold space without trying to dominate it. Those lessons are painful, but they are necessary for anyone meant to walk beside a chosen one. Both of you were tested in obedience. Not dramatic obedience, but quiet obedience. Walking away when staying felt easier, waiting when settling felt tempting, trusting when clarity was missing. Those moments never felt spiritual at the time. They felt frustrating. But heaven marks obedience even when humans overlook it. There were moments when both of you felt unseen, unappreciated, forgotten. God allowed that feeling to strip validation addiction, so that when you finally come together, you are not using each other to feel valuable. You already know your worth. That is protection. Let me say this clearly. The test was not about how much pain you could endure. God does not glorify suffering. The test was about what pain produced in you. Did it make you wiser or colder? Did it make you more discerning or more defensive? Did it deepen your faith or harden your expectations? Those outcomes mattered. Some of you barely recognize who you were 7 years ago. Your prayers sound different now. Your boundaries are stronger. Your reactions are slower. Your faith is quieter but deeper. That is evidence of refinement. Fire changes structure. Pressure changes posture. You did not just survive the test, you were shaped by it. The 7-year test also taught you something about timing. You learned that not everything good arrives quickly, and not everything delayed is denied. You learned how to wait without putting your life on hold. That balance is rare. God needed you to live fully without forcing outcomes. That skill will protect the connection ahead. Chosen one, the test is over, not because life is easy now, but because you are stable now. You can hold joy without fear. You can face uncertainty without panic. You can receive without clinging. That is how God knows you are ready. The 7 years were not about breaking you. They were about building something in you that could last. And there is something else the 7-year test did that many people overlook. It taught you restraint. You learned how to feel deeply without acting impulsively. You learned how to pause before responding, how to sit with emotions instead of being ruled by them. That level of emotional discipline is rare, especially among chosen ones who feel everything intensely. God refined your sensitivity so it would become wisdom, not overwhelm. You were also tested in hope, not loud hope, quiet hope. The kind that continues even when there is no visible evidence. The kind that does not announce itself. That hope kept you from becoming cynical. It kept your heart open without making you naive. That balance is sacred. God protects people who can hope without demanding. There were moments when resentment tried to take root, when you looked at others moving forward while you felt stuck. God used those moments to reveal what still needed healing. Comparison surfaced not to shame you, but to cleanse you. And every time you chose gratitude over bitterness, something in you matured. The test also revealed your relationship with control. You wanted answers, timelines, certainty. God denied you those things on purpose, not to frustrate you, but to free you. Control feels like safety until it becomes bondage. God taught you how to trust without gripping outcomes. That trust is what allows divine connections to breathe. The other person went through a similar breaking. They had to face the consequences of past decisions. They had to learn accountability instead of avoidance. They had to understand that love requires consistency, not convenience. Those lessons do not come through teaching. They come through experience. God allowed life to instruct them where words could not. Both of you were tested in surrender, not once, but repeatedly. Surrender when things didn't make sense. Surrender when prayer felt unanswered. Surrender when the easiest option was to stop believing. And yet you remained. Not perfectly, but faithfully. That faithfulness mattered. Let this settle in your spirit. God does not waste years. He redeems them. Nothing you endured was random. Nothing you survived was pointless. Every delay, every disappointment, every lonely night shaped the strength required for what comes next. The test did not end because you passed every moment flawlessly. It ended because you learned what you needed to learn. And now, chosen one, you carry the weight of maturity without the heaviness of fear. Signs you are ready now. Why this message found you today? Chosen one, this message did not reach you because you were searching for it. It reached you because you are ready to hear it without distortion. There is a difference. When people are not ready, truth agitates them. It creates anxiety. It fuels impatience. But when you are ready, truth settles you. It grounds you. It brings clarity instead of urgency. Pay attention to how your spirit is responding right now. One of the clearest signs you are ready is this. You no longer feel the need to chase answers. You still desire clarity, but you are no longer desperate for it. There is a calm curiosity instead of restless urgency. 7 years ago, waiting felt like punishment. Now, waiting feels purposeful. That shift did not happen by accident. It is evidence of growth. You are also no longer trying to prove your worth to God, to people, or to yourself. You know who you are, not because life validated you, but because God anchored you. When approval stops being your fuel, readiness begins. This is important because divine connections collapse when they are built on insecurity. God waited until your identity could stand without external reinforcement. Another sign is emotional regulation. You feel deeply, but you are no longer controlled by what you feel. You can experience longing without spiraling, hope without obsession, joy without fear of loss. That balance is not natural. It is learned, and it is required. God does not release what you cannot steward emotionally. You are also more discerning now, not suspicious. Discernment does not assume the worst. It simply sees clearly. You no longer rush to label things as divine or dismiss them as nothing. You allow space for God to reveal truth in layers. That patience protects you from illusion. Many people want revelation without process. You learn to respect timing. Notice this as well. You are less reactive to silence. Silence no longer triggers panic. It invites reflection. You have learned that God often speaks after he settles your emotions. That ability to remain calm when nothing is happening outwardly is a strong indicator of readiness. Immature faith demands constant reassurance. Mature faith rests even when answers are delayed. You have also stopped romanticizing struggle. You no longer believe suffering automatically means spiritual depth. You value peace now, stability, consistency. That does not mean you fear challenge. It means you understand that God is not always in the storm. Sometimes he is in the quiet order that follows it. That shift in desire is significant. Another sign is how you view others. You no longer look down on people who are behind you, and you no longer envy people who seem ahead. You understand that everyone moves according to divine timing, not comparison. That humility creates space for healthy connection. Pride isolates. Humility aligns. Pay attention to your prayers. They are different now. You are not begging. You are not bargaining. You are not listing demands. Your prayers sound more like conversation, more like surrender, more like trust. That tone matters. God listens closely when your prayers come from alignment instead of anxiety. You are also less afraid of disappointment. That does not mean you expect nothing. It means you trust God enough to know that whatever unfolds will not destroy you. Fear of disappointment often keeps people from receiving blessings. God waited until fear loosened its grip on you. You may also notice that your life feels simpler. Not easier, but simpler. Fewer emotional entanglements, clearer priorities, stronger boundaries. God simplifies before he expands. Confusion does not coexist with clarity. The simplicity you feel is preparation, not stagnation. Another sign is your relationship with control. You still plan, you still prepare, but you no longer try to force outcomes. You release timelines more easily. You accept redirection without resistance. That flexibility is a sign of trust. God cannot lead people who refuse to loosen their grip. You also no longer feel the need to announce what God is doing in you. There is a quiet confidence now. You protect what is sacred. You understand that some things grow best in privacy. That maturity signals readiness for deeper connection. Let me say this gently but firmly. If this message makes you feel calm instead of impatient, reassured instead of restless, grounded instead of emotionally charged, that is confirmation. Immature timing creates excitement without stability. Divine timing creates peace with anticipation. You are also more present now. You no longer live entirely in the future, waiting for something to happen before you allow yourself to live. You engage with life as it is. That presence is crucial. God does not bring future blessings into people who are absent from the present. You have also learned to sit with uncertainty without abandoning faith. That is rare. Many people believe only when clarity is immediate. You learn to trust even when it wasn't. That trust is why this message reached you today. This moment is not about rushing toward someone. It is about recognizing where you stand. You are stable. You are aware. You are aligned. That alignment is what draws divine connections naturally, without force. Chosen one, readiness does not announce itself loudly. It feels like quiet assurance. And if that is what you feel right now, then understand this. You are not waiting anymore in the way you used to. You are positioned, and positioned people receive differently. This message did not find you because you were searching for love. It found you because you learned how to love God, yourself, and the process without desperation. That is readiness. There is another sign that often goes unnoticed. You no longer confuse movement with progress. In the past, you felt uneasy when nothing seemed to be happening. Now, you understand that stillness can also be productive. You trust that God works beneath the surface long before anything becomes visible. That trust quiets impatience and sharpens discernment. You are also less attached to outcomes. You still desire good things, but you are no longer emotionally dependent on specific results. That detachment is not indifference, it is maturity. God does not release blessings into hands that cling too tightly. He waits for open palms, not clenched fists. Notice how you respond to reminders of the past. Old wounds may still surface, but they no longer control your decisions. You acknowledge them without reliving them. That emotional distance is healing. It shows that your past no longer defines your expectations of the future. You are also more honest with yourself. You no longer pretend to be stronger than you are or more broken than you feel. You accept your humanity without judgment. That self-awareness is essential for healthy connection. People who lack it project unresolved issues onto others. You have learned to take responsibility for your inner world. Another sign of readiness is how you handle solitude. It no longer feels like abandonment. It feels like space. Space to think. Space to pray. Space to recalibrate. You have learned how to be alone without feeling incomplete. That independence protects the connection God is preparing. You are also less drawn to emotional intensity for its own sake. Drama no longer excites you. Unpredictability no longer feels attractive. You value consistency now, reliability, emotional safety. That shift tells me you are no longer operating from survival mode. You are operating from stability. Pay attention to how you respond to this message. If you feel affirmed rather than activated, soothed rather than stirred, grounded rather than restless, that is not coincidence. That is alignment. God speaks in ways that match your level of maturity. You also no longer feel the urge to rush God's process. You understand that forcing divine timing only creates unnecessary pain. You trust that what is meant for you will not require anxiety to obtain. That trust frees your spirit. Chosen one, these signs are not dramatic. They are subtle. but subtle does not mean insignificant. Quiet readiness is the most powerful kind, and if you recognize yourself in these words, then understand this. You are not preparing anymore. You are prepared. And when preparation meets divine timing, God does not announce it with chaos. He introduces it with peace. What happens when you meet? This is not a fairy tale. Chosen one, I need to ground you here because this is where imagination often tries to replace wisdom. What is coming into your life is sacred, but it is not a fantasy. God does not write fairy tales. He writes assignments, and assignments come with responsibility, not illusion. When you meet this person, it will not feel like being swept away. It will feel like being settled. There will be no emotional rush that steals your clarity, no confusion that keeps you guessing where you stand, no dramatic intensity that feels exciting but unstable. Instead, there will be a quiet recognition, a sense of familiarity that does not demand explanation. Your spirit will relax before your mind fully understands what is happening. This connection will not begin with chaos. It will not pull you out of alignment. It will not distract you from prayer or purpose. In fact, it will sharpen both. You will notice that after interactions with this person, you feel clearer, not drained, more focused, not scattered, encouraged, not anxious. That is how you know God is involved. Anything divine adds order, not confusion. Do not expect instant depth. Depth unfolds with trust, not speed. God does not rush intimacy because rushed intimacy bypasses discernment. This connection will grow steadily, naturally, without pressure. There will be space for questions, space for observation, space for wisdom to lead instead of emotion. That pace is protection. There will also be boundaries, healthy ones, mutual ones. This person will not push past your convictions. They will not demand access to parts of you that God has not yet released. And you will not feel the urge to overshare or over-explain yourself. Respect will be present from the beginning. That respect is not distance, it is honor. You may notice something surprising. This connection will not consume your thoughts the way past attachments did. It will not dominate your emotional landscape. You will still be able to function, focus, and live your life. That is not lack of importance. That is balance. God never intended connection to replace your inner stability. He intends it to complement it. There may be moments of uncertainty, but not confusion. Uncertainty invites conversation. Confusion creates anxiety. Pay attention to the difference. When something is unclear, it will be addressed calmly, not avoided. Communication will feel safe even when topics are serious. That safety is rare, and it is intentional. This meeting will also reveal how much you have grown. Old triggers will surface, but they will not control you. You will notice your ability to pause, to listen, to respond instead of react. That awareness will surprise you. You will realize that the work God did in you was deeper than you thought. Do not expect perfection. There will be differences, preferences, perspectives that do not always align immediately. God does not remove individuality to create unity. He teaches unity through understanding. What matters is how those differences are handled, with humility, with patience, with mutual respect. That is where maturity shows itself. This connection will not isolate you from your life. It will not demand exclusivity at the cost of obedience. It will integrate naturally into what God is already building. Your routines will remain intact. Your values will remain steady. You will not feel like you are abandoning yourself to maintain the connection. That is a sign of health. There may be moments when fear tries to speak. Fear of loss, fear of messing it up, fear of vulnerability. Those fears are normal. What matters is that they do not lead your decisions. God does not expect you to be fearless. He expects you to be faithful, faithful to wisdom, faithful to discernment, faithful to peace. Let me be clear about something. This meeting does not guarantee ease. Purposeful connections require effort, but the effort will feel meaningful, not exhausting. You will not feel like you are carrying everything alone. There will be mutual investment, mutual care, mutual responsibility. That shared effort is what makes connection sustainable. This is also not about instant labels or declarations. God reveals in stages. Trust builds in layers. Allow the connection to unfold without forcing definition too early. Rushing clarity often creates pressure that distorts perception. What is real does not need to be rushed to be secured. You will also notice that this person does not awaken insecurity in you. They do not make you question your worth. They do not trigger comparison or competition. Their presence does not make you feel smaller. It grounds you. It affirms you quietly, without excessive reassurance. That stability is intentional. Chosen one, this meeting is not meant to distract you from your calling. It is meant to support it. You are not being given someone to lean on so you can stop standing. You are being given someone who understands what it means to stand. Do not look for fireworks. Look for fruit, peace, clarity, consistency, growth. Those are the markers of something God is sustaining. Emotional highs fade. Spiritual alignment lasts. When this connection begins, you may feel an urge to protect it, not out of fear, but out of reverence. That instinct is healthy. Sacred things are handled carefully. You will be more intentional with your words, more patient with timing, more thoughtful with decisions. That intentionality is maturity, not hesitation. And finally, understand this. When you meet, it will not feel like something starting from zero. It will feel like something continuing, as if preparation is finally meeting opportunity, as if two paths that were running parallel are now allowed to intersect. Chosen one, this is not a fairy tale. It is better than that. It is real, and real is what lasts. There is one more thing you need to understand about this meeting. It will not feel rushed by God, but it will feel intentional. Every interaction will seem to carry weight, not pressure. You will sense that timing matters, that words matter, that choices matter. That awareness does not create fear, it creates mindfulness. You will also notice that this connection does not demand constant attention to survive. Space will not threaten it. Silence will not weaken it. Trust will already be present in seed form. That is how you know it is rooted in something deeper than emotion. What is anchored does not panic when it is not constantly stimulated. There will be moments when gratitude rises quietly in you. Not excitement, but appreciation. Appreciation for how God waited, how God protected, how God prepared. You will look back at seasons you once resented and finally understand why they had to happen the way they did. And in those moments, something will shift. You will stop asking when and start honoring now. You will stop questioning God's timing and start trusting His wisdom. That internal shift is subtle, but it is powerful. Chosen one, when you meet, you will not lose yourself. You will recognize yourself. And that recognition is one of the greatest confirmations God can give. Your responsibility now, how to walk worthy of this connection. Chosen one. Now we come to the part many people want to skip, because responsibility does not excite the ego, but it protects destiny. What God prepares, He also requires to be stewarded. And if this connection is to unfold the way heaven intends, how you walk now matters deeply. The first responsibility is simple but not easy. Stay grounded. Do not let anticipation pull you out of alignment. Excitement has its place, but grounding keeps you discerning. Continue your prayer life as it is. Do not increase it out of anxiety, and do not neglect it out of distraction. Stability honors God more than intensity. You must also resist the urge to rush. Rushing is often fear disguised as desire. Fear of losing the opportunity, fear of missing the moment, fear of delay repeating itself. But what is divinely aligned does not require urgency to survive. God does not tease His chosen ones. If He brings something into your life, He sustains it through wisdom, not panic. Guard your imagination. This is important. Do not build scenarios in your mind that God has not revealed yet. Fantasy creates expectations, and expectations create pressure. Pressure distorts reality. Allow God to unfold truth in real time. Stay present with what is actually happening, not what you hope will happen. Presence keeps you clear. Another responsibility is emotional discipline. That does not mean suppression, it means awareness. Notice what you feel without letting feelings drive decisions. Emotions are indicators, not leaders. You learned this during the waiting season. Apply it now. Do not abandon discernment just because something feels good. God does not ask you to turn off wisdom to receive a blessing. You must also remain honest with yourself. If fear surfaces, acknowledge it. If uncertainty arises, address it calmly. Do not pretend to be unbothered if something matters. Maturity is not emotional silence. It is emotional clarity. Speak truth without drama. Ask questions without accusation. That kind of communication protects connection. Respect boundaries, both yours and theirs. Boundaries are not barriers, they are containers. They allow trust to grow safely. Do not rush access to parts of your life that God has taught you to guard. Sacred things are revealed gradually. Anyone worthy of depth will respect process. Continue living your life fully. Do not pause your growth, your purpose, or your routines, waiting for this connection to define itself. Divine connections integrate into life. They do not replace it. God does not want you orbiting around another person. He wants both of you anchored in Him. Be mindful of your words. Avoid declarations before confirmation. Avoid promises before clarity. Words carry weight in spiritual connections. Let actions speak first. Let consistency reveal truth. God values fruit over language. Another responsibility is humility. Do not assume you understand everything God is doing. Do not place pressure on yourself to get everything right. God is involved. He guides as you walk, not before you move. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay aware. If challenges arise, and they will, do not interpret them as failure. Growth requires adjustment. Adjustment requires patience. Address issues early, calmly, and honestly. Avoid avoidance. Avoid passive silence. Healthy connections are built through conversation, not assumption. Let go of comparison completely. This connection will not look like anyone else's story. God does not copy-paste destinies. Comparing timelines, progress, or expression will only distract you. Stay focused on what God is doing with you, not around you. Also understand this. You are not responsible for controlling outcomes. You are responsible for obedience. Show up with integrity. Act with wisdom. Speak with truth. Trust God with results. Control is not your assignment. Stewardship is. Remain thankful but not anxious. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. Anxiety hardens it. Thank God for preparation. Thank Him for clarity. Thank Him for timing. Gratitude anchors you in peace. And finally, remember this. This connection is not your identity. It is part of your journey, not the source of your worth. God was enough before it arrived, and He remains enough as it unfolds. When you keep God central, everything else finds its rightful place. Chosen one, walking worthy does not mean walking perfectly. It means walking consciously. And if you do that, you will not lose what God intends to give. There is another responsibility that cannot be ignored. Protect your peace, not aggressively, but intentionally. Peace is not something you fight for. It is something you choose through discernment. If anything begins to disturb that peace consistently, do not ignore it. Address it with clarity, not emotion. God often speaks through what disrupts peace gently, not loudly. You must also stay rooted in truth, not assumptions. Assumptions create unnecessary tension. If something is unclear, seek understanding rather than filling in gaps with fear. God values honest communication over silent interpretation. Silence fueled by fear creates distance. Dialogue guided by wisdom creates closeness. Remain patient with process. Even prepared connections unfold in stages. Trust grows over time. Familiarity deepens with consistency. Do not expect immediate emotional exposure. Allow trust to be built naturally. God honors patience because patience allows truth to surface without pressure. Another responsibility is to remain self-aware. Monitor your reactions, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. If something triggers you, ask why. Healing does not mean triggers disappear. It means they no longer control you. Awareness gives you choice. Choice protects connection. Do not carry the weight of perfection. God does not expect flawlessness. He expects honesty and effort. When mistakes happen, address them without self-condemnation. Shame does not produce growth. Responsibility does. Learn, adjust, move forward. You are also responsible for maintaining spiritual alignment. Do not compromise convictions to maintain closeness. Any connection that requires you to shrink spiritually is not aligned. The right connection supports obedience, not erosion of values. Stay firm without becoming rigid. Be cautious with outside voices. Not everyone deserves access to what God is doing privately. Too many opinions dilute discernment. Protect the sacredness of this season. Guidance should come from God and a few trusted, spiritually mature voices, not from noise. Also, remain open-handed. Do not grip outcomes. Do not demand certainty. Trust grows best in freedom. God works in open spaces, not controlled environments. Your willingness to trust God with what you cannot control is part of your obedience. Chosen one, responsibility is not heavy when it is shared with God. You are not carrying this alone. Divine connections come with divine guidance. Stay attentive, stay humble, stay grounded. And remember, walking worthy is not about fear of loss. It is about reverence for what God is building. Conclusion, divine reassurance and final commission. Chosen one, let me leave you with this truth, and I want it to settle deeply in your spirit. You were never late. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. The waiting you endured was not a detour, it was alignment. God did not delay you to test your patience. He delayed you to protect your destiny. Someone waited 7 years, not because God was uncertain, but because God was precise. And you waited too, even on days when you didn't realize you still were. What is coming together now is not built on desperation, fantasy, or fear. It is built on maturity, obedience, and clarity. That is why it feels different. That is why it feels calm. Do not rush to interpret everything. Do not rush to control what God is unfolding. Trust what He has already proven to you through the years. He carried you through confusion. He strengthened you through silence. He refined you through waiting. And He would not bring you this far just to abandon the work now. Rest your mind. Settle your heart. You do not need to strive. You do not need to chase. What is aligned will meet you where you are. Your only assignment is to remain faithful, grounded, and obedient. God handles the rest. If this message resonated with you, if it brought peace instead of pressure, clarity instead of confusion, then you already know this was meant for you. Before you go, chosen ones, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this message with other chosen ones who need this confirmation, and comment 777 in the comments as a declaration that you trust God's timing and remain aligned with your divine path. Walk in peace, walk in wisdom, and remember, God never wastes a wait.